The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Hire Fast Podcast, a podcast aimed at educating you on hiring the right person for the right job and keeping them. Are you sick of spending precious time and energy hiring and training people just to have them turn around and quit? Then join Alan and his guests on Hire Fast as they teach you how to skillfully motivate and attract rock star talent. Now here is your host, Alan Daviduk.
Hello, welcome to Hire Fast. Hire Fast, if you remember, is a component of the S.M.A.R.T system. The S.M.A.R.T system is the fastest path to predictable and sustainable profit in your restaurant or business. It's a true continuous improvement framework that attracts, develops, and retains better people you need to grow your business and live a better life. So who is this podcast for? Restaurant business owners, multi-unit managers, area managers, leadership teams, the people who have to attract and develop better employees, and they want to retain and protect the core people, the long-term people that are doing it for them every day, and get rid of the poor performers. And if that isn't you, it's okay. I want you to stick around, drop a comment below, because we would love to hear from you and what you think. So on the last episode, we talked about the framework of what S.M.A.R.T is, where we skillfully motivate, attract rockstar talent. And the next few episodes, we're going to explain and break down what each piece of that means. So on the last episode, we broke down Skillfully, the first step in the S.M.A.R.T framework. And Skillfully has three components: goals, measures, and compensation plan. Last week we talked about goals. So today we're going to talk about step 2 of Skillfully, which is measures. So listen, I know this is not super sexy, exciting stuff, but this is the heavy thinking work that's hard, right? It's the work that no one wants to do, but it's so crucial to getting results. So many business owners skip over this part. So what I want to do is introduce our guest today, which is the main man at the S.M.A.R.T system, Corey Masson. He's going to help unpack Skillfully and how companies can take the S and use them in their company. So Corey, welcome to the S.M.A.R.T system.
Hey, thanks, Alan. Thanks for inviting me here today, man.
So I want to ask you a question. So why do business owners get into business in the first place?
Well, technically it's to solve a problem. Some of us like to get premature gray hair, lose hair in my case, and basically die rich making money.
All right. So if their goal is to make money, does that mean they'll be successful? And how do they know that they're going to be successful?
If that was technically their goal, I have a 5-year-old daughter who her goal is to have all the unicorns and rainbows in the world. I'm pretty sure she'd have them all by now. But anywho, no. In all seriousness, it's as a business is entering into the midway point of Q1 2022, the question I have for those businesses, how are they currently in their financial health goals for 2022 as a whole? We're in the midway point for the quarter. Where are they at already? Are they hitting their KPIs and their goal progress measures for Q1?
Okay, so let's assume they made a goal, right? Because this is part of the problem. Not every company makes a goal. They just go right into it. And how would they succeed to hit that goal?
Great question, Alan. We have a saying at S.M.A.R.T, what you monitor progress of is what you succeed in. And ultimately, that doesn't just apply to businesses. That also applies to everyone in life. Essentially, many people, again, we're so close to the new year, set goals to lose weight. Well, the question is, are you going to lose weight every day by waking up and measuring your weight on a scale? Probably not. Goal progress measures are the things that you need to do to succeed. I need to go ahead and change my lifestyle. I need to go ahead and change my behaviors and my mindset of what can I do to actually change my weight. It's also then obviously having a better diet. So the goal progress measures are the things to be done, and they're really like sub-goals of the primary goal. You have a lofty goal here, but these are the things that we're going to do to get there.
So with listening to everything you just said, the only challenge I would have in those statements is what measures the goal, right? How is it measured? Like, what do you measure by? Do you use a scale? Do you hang yourself off a rope? Like, what do you do to measure the progress?
Okay, yeah, great question. Yeah, so, think of the behavior question. My behavior is to work late because I got a lot to do. And then, you make excuses for yourself that you don't have time to go to the gym. No, you're going to reset. You're going to set a goal. By the end of the year, I want to be going to the gym 5 days a week. So we'll say, if I want to lose 100 pounds or whatever it may be, a goal progress measure would be I need to add in a new behavior mindset and say by the end of the year, I'm going to the gym 5 days a week. A goal progress measure breaks that down a little bit further. It says, hey, I'm going to monitor progress on a weekly basis. How many times I go to the gym this week? Break it down further. It's like quarter one, I'm going to go on average of 2 times. I'm going to go not 0 to 60 all 5 times because I'm going to burn out and I'm never going to last. So goal progress measure is really, let's go ahead and put an incremental goal in of getting to the gym twice a month for the first quarter.
Twice a week?
Twice a week, pardon me.
So then it'll be eight times a month, 24 times this quarter, right? You're really, so that's the measure.
Exactly.
Right? I'm going to do it this many times.
Right. But the hardest part is holding yourself accountable and monitoring your progress. Quarter one, I averaged 2 times. Quarter two, I went 3 times. So you can incrementally grow to your final goal.
I have a hack for everybody. So when you're trying to get that accountability in, involve your wife. She will kick you in the ass and make sure you get there 24 times a month. That's what she does to me. Well, I don't know if you recall, but if you remember where I was back in 2017, 2018, I was in this bad place, right? And I just want to tell a quick story to kind of segue in to the place that I really was. So imagine you have a room, right? And you have 6 balls in the room, right? So I had this problem. I call it an equilibrium problem. So every time a ball would leave the room, right, to keep the equilibrium right in the room, I'd add a ball in. Well, that wasn't my problem. My problem is 2 balls would go out, only 1 would come in. Then 3 balls would go out, 1 would come in. So I was upside down all the time, right? So I needed 60 people to take care of our network, and I only had 40, right? And so I needed 20 more all the time, but yet I couldn't hold on to anybody, right? And this was my massive problem. So I didn't know how to solve it. So I want to be successful this year, right? This particular time period that we're talking about when I birthed the S.M.A.R.T system, right, and started to go down that journey. The network, I was if anybody remembers, I had set up in the Dunkin' Donut world at the time, and we had a network of locations, and I wanted to break $4 million in sales. To do that, right, and this is what we're talking about, the measure, so that's the goal. I want to make $4 million in sales, and I like how Corey put it. He talked about a lever, right? That was huge. So the lever that I needed to make the $4 million or break the $4 million in sales was I needed 60 people to do it. Anything less than that, I wasn't able to take care of the customers. I wasn't able to get the throughput. I wasn't able to do the things I need to make the sales, right? And this was the problem. So the question I have for you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, question.
No, the question I have for you is, that micro goal, right? That micro, I really like how you said that. It's the old, how do you eat an elephant, right? You, one bite at a time, right? If you try to eat the whole elephant, it's not going to work. So I need 60 people. If I try to hire 20 people at once, I'm going to fail, right? And I did that over and over again.
Yeah, I recall that chaotic time that you're in. And, going back to the principles of S.M.A.R.T, we established a skillful goal. And that skillful goal was actually the primary discussion point. And you just said you had turnover, balls coming in and out. It was just, again, a shit show, to be brutally honest with you. So what we did was we set a SMART goal out by January 1st, 2019, a year out. You're going to decrease your turnover rate from 280. 280% is where you're at. And we wanted to set a goal of 100%. So we wanted to go below the norm.
Well, so what Corey is talking about is he set a really hard goal back then for me. Actually, my goal was 140%. And the reason why I set it at 140% was because that was the industry standard at the time, right? So Corey was trying to take me beyond that. And in my mind, I was struggling so much with it that literally this was the thought in my head, that I'm 280%, the rest of the world is 140. I suck twice as bad as everybody else. So I just want to suck like everybody else. So that was my real goal. And Corey's like, no, man, we got to go beyond that.
Right.
So
yeah, if you set the bar at 140, you're probably going to get to 160. And again, that's still above horrible, right?
Great point.
So what we did was we established that goal And then we discussed what are the things that actually help activate the business and actually like are contributing factors to that 280%. So we had the micro goals and those goal progress measures, talent satisfaction rating, like how happy are the talent that's there. If the talent's not happy, then we have a secondary goal of customer delight, customer happiness, engages. And then we said the one that you've already spoke a bit about is the talent pool. We wanted to go ahead and have a pool of actual talent that we were saying we can't hire you today. But we wanted to go ahead and say, let's get ourselves to a point where we have more highly qualified talent there. But we weren't able to do that without actually establishing a meaningful goal and then the micro goals within.
Let's go back to that first one, talent satisfaction. So can you just explain a little bit more about what that means and what the measurement was, what it was for, and how we measured it?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything starts off with a baseline, right? So where are we at today? And so we actually had to implement some of the S.M.A.R.T practices of doing customer satisfaction surveys, talent satisfaction check-ins, pulse checks as we call them, on a weekly basis. We had to understand, how do they feel from a cultural perspective? How do they, when they start work, when they leave work? What other things are happening in between? So what we went ahead and did is implement 4 of the different pulse checks for all the different talent. Originally, grabbed the baseline in the first month to say, well, here's where they're at like today. And then we learned right away some patterns, some of the things that we were doing you were doing as an organization that were working, not working. And then ultimately there was a clear alignment to, if the talent weren't happy today, obviously the customers aren't getting good satisfaction. They were not probably returning tomorrow. So what we went ahead and did was just do some baselining, discover some ratings, and then build a curve out. And we said, okay, now that we have that, we then went ahead and implement, so the first goal for the micro goal of talent satisfaction was, let's create a baseline. Second one was like, now let's go ahead and establish a goal. And then let's, for quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. And we had to roll it out. So all these things are really the act of doing, like you said earlier on, the unattractive stuff that we need to do, the administrivia, the actual part of running a business, that sucks.
Yeah. So, think about what he just said and the steps that he took you through, right? So we went to our customers and we said, what do we do right? What do we do wrong, right? We went to our people and we said, what do you love? What do you hate, right? And this helped us steer, how do we keep people? How do we retain people? How many people do we need? Because the customer's telling us, you're too slow, you don't do this, you mess this up. And this is how we got all the data that we needed. So my question to you, as a listener, do you do this, right? Do you ask these hard questions, right? Because, I never wanted to hold myself accountable, right? Or the team accountable because, I had failed. When I would do these things, I failed over and over again. So again, that's the wrong way. I don't want to do this. So, it would be like I would set a goal, right? And it would be like my New Year's resolution, right? I would want to lose 100 pounds, like he had used the weight loss piece. And then 3 weeks into the year, I ate ice cream, and it's like, fuck it, it's all over again. Like, let's just dump it. I don't want to do it anymore, right? And then I would just wing it the rest of the year, right? And this is what I was doing over and over and over again. So take this piece back with you today, that I want you to look at what you're doing and how important goals and these measures, right? These micro sub goals that Corey talked about, how important they are, right? It's not just, everybody wants to be an astronaut, right? But if they really look at what it takes to become an astronaut, you don't want to be an astronaut. It's hard, right? And this process is hard too. But if you don't start here to get through to the next part, then you can't achieve the goals that you want to and have the success that you want. You got to start here with the real hard part, which really takes a look at you, right, and what you're doing as a leader. Where are we now? Where do we want to go? How do we get there, right? The simple stuff that's hard to do. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, it's simple but hard, right? You have to set the goals, set the progress measures, but most importantly is to establish a timeline and monitor the progress of them, right? Again, what you monitor progress in is what you succeed in. It's basic, it's simple, but it's hard to do because we fail at the easy stuff.
I love it. I love it. So on the next episode, we're going to cover the last part of Skillfully, which is the compensation plan and how to use the compensation plan to achieve the goals, right? All these goals and measures that we talked about, everything we set out to do to ultimately make us more money, and the business doesn't put us in a prison anymore. So thank you so much for listening today. Remember that the leaders with the best employees win every time. If you haven't already, subscribe below or follow us. Please do so. We can keep you up to date. And remember, you can always visit me at getsmartsystem.com. You can email me at alan@getsmartsystem.com. You can call me at 1-888-3SMART-5. Ciao for now. We'll see you next week.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.